Hey everybody, this is Alex here, coming to you from the St. Mary's Wilderness. I know I haven't uploaded anything in a long while, and I wanted to just give you guys a quick video update. This is only going to go up on my video platforms, so if you watch or listen there, you're probably going to hear this. If you don't, I'm sorry. I don't know who I'm apologizing to because you're not going to see it. But I haven't uploaded on the show in a while, and I just wanted to give you guys an update about that. I've been working between 55 to 70 hours a week. And right now my life is basically just eat, sleep, and work. And I'd like for that to change, and hopefully it will soon, but I have not had any time to do the show. I know it's only once bi-weekly, an hour-long show, but that also includes, an hour's worth of editing. 6 hours worth of editing, usually, as well as finding someone to interview, and that in itself takes a very long, difficult process because a lot of people don't want to talk about these things. And I don't blame them. It's not their fault that they don't want to talk about it. It's very, woo-woo stuff. Not everyone wants to be out there on record saying these kinds of things. So I get it. But even when I do find people who I can interview and are willing to share their story with you guys, scheduling's difficult. I've got, like I said, 55 to 70 hours a week. They've got jobs of their own. They have their own lives. And so we all have our own priorities that we have to make sure we get taken care of in order to just keep on living our lives in the best way that we can. But the show is a passion project of mine, and I want to have something, just something for you guys. So today I thought, what could I share? Well, I've got my Sasquatch shirt on, and I was thinking, when people ask me if I've ever had an encounter with Sasquatch, the answer is inevitably no, but maybe. So I'm doing my birthday hike today. It's May 30th. My birthday is actually on May 31st, but I've got stuff I've got to do tomorrow. So I came out here today. It's a 7-mile hike up to Green Pond. I've done this the last 2 years, and then a 7-mile hike back in the St. Mary's Wilderness. So I'm going to take you guys with me on that, and I'm going to share you some stories of possible Sasquatch encounters that I've had in my lifetime. Here we go. The tough thing about hiking the St. Mary's Trail up to Green Pond is that it's 7 miles of uphill, which really puts a hurting on your legs. We tried to do this 2 years ago, me and 2 of my buddies, and we couldn't quite get to the top, but we heard something up there that made us turn around anyway. And there will be more on that as I'm telling my stories. But today, as I said, I'm at the St. Mary's Wilderness. It's almost 10,000 acres of wilderness area. And it was heavily mined back in the early 1900s for iron ore, which is cool because they've left a lot of that equipment behind, and you can see it as you hike the particular trail that I'm hiking on right now. It was reclaimed in the 1950s and designated as wilderness area. But today being Memorial Day, all the tourists are coming down, and they want to see the waterfall, which is absolutely beautiful. The waterfall is gorgeous, and there's swimming holes up that way. But the trail that I'm on is a diverted path, and I guarantee you I'm not going to see a single person, even though the parking lot was packed. Now I've got to cross this. How do I turn it around? I'll just flip it like this. But holidays like this bring in a lot of the inner city touristy types, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into. The St. Mary's Wilderness has a lot of beautiful hiking trails and hiking scenery, but it's all super rugged. You got to cross the water multiple times. The water's probably about 3 feet high today and running very swiftly. And I'm seeing people coming in with sandals and those coolers that have the little wheels behind them. Yeah, these people are probably going to have a pretty bad Memorial Day, having planned out this waterfall trip and finding out that they can't even make it a quarter of the way there. But at the same time, that's kind of cool because these are also the sorts of people who dump their trash in the wilderness and don't pick up after themselves. Totally just disrespect the environment. So I'm kind of glad that they're not going to be able to have the day that they wanted. But yeah, you should do your research before you go hiking any trail to see how friendly it is for, you know, infants and dogs and toddlers and elderly folks. You know, just see how difficult the trail actually is, because this one is nothing really to mess with if you don't have a strong set of legs on you. Anyway, I'm gonna cross this crossing now. Here we've got some old metal tubing from the old mines. It's being reclaimed by the forest. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's kind of a dark brown laying amongst the light brown of the leaf litter. I'm at a really calming little stream here. So I'm gonna take a seat. I'm gonna give you guys my first story. You know, as you start to get into this topic and learn about things, you'll learn about certain behaviors that are pretty much universal in the Sasquatch phenomenon. And though I said I've never had an encounter per se, I've looked back in my life and I've seen things, remembered things that I was never really able to explain anyway, that line up. And so the first one, going back to the late 90s, my family moved down from Northern Virginia to West Central Virginia, a little town called Churchville, kind of close to West Virginia, maybe about 45 minutes hour to the border of West Virginia if you keep driving. And as we were putting up a new house on this piece of property we had bought, there was like a little fire pit just to burn some scrap material. And I used to love playing around the fire pit. There were like casings for the nail gun, which is just like basically a strip of plastic where the nails were all put in. And then, of course, it's a spent casing, so I get to pick that up and I burn it, and I get to watch as the plastic melts. It kind of has these little searing fireballs that drip off of it, and you can hear this sound. I thought it was the coolest thing, you know, around 9 years old. And as I was playing around that fire pit, a rock would just fall down next to me. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? Like a rock fell from the sky right next to me. That's very weird. And then another one does. And a couple minutes later, another one does. And there's probably 4 or 5 rocks that fell down around my general area. And I picked them up and looked at them, and they look like a black pumice sort of stone, which we don't have around there. We have a gravel driveway, and that's about it. There's like some quartz rock in the dirt that I found around there. But I've never seen anything that looks like pumice. It's like a volcanic sort of rock. I thought it was really weird, and I still can't explain that to this day. And rock throwing is one thing that you'll hear a lot about in Sasquatch experiences. Some people say that it's a sort of a warning for you to get out, to go away, or just to get your attention. And they very often throw it near a person. They don't throw it at you. They have surprisingly good accuracy where they can sort of land it right next to you, but never hit you. So yeah, that's that experience. I can't explain it. Rocks falling from the sky may not even be Sasquatch. I never had any sort of inkling that they were out there other than that one experience in Churchville. So I'll just chalk that up to who knows. Now we've gotten to a portion of the trail where I very much like to go camping. As you can see, there's a really nice little green glen here. And then if you look this way, this is where a lot of this mining equipment has been left over. Right there is a tube that leads over here to the chute. Lots of concrete. Lots of vestiges of a mining era past. Look at all this iron ore. Lots and lots of red in these rocks. You can see that is rich with iron. Cool. I think I'm going to go up on top of that chute and get a better shot, if I can, of the area below. But you might be able to see there's a clearing out that way as well. Way back in the day, they basically strip mined this whole area, and then they replanted a bunch of pine. And up where you get around here, it's starting to turn from more deciduous to more pine. Well, just about around me right now is a lot of poplar, birch. But I came camping up here one time, and it was getting dark, and we were setting up camp. And as I was walking into the camp with my headlamp on, I started hearing what sounded like a really big bug in a bush, like it was chattering at me, you know? And I was like, I want to see what that is. So with my stupid weak headlamp, I don't, you know, I'm pretty stingy when it comes to that kind of thing. Not a very rich man. I had to bend down really close to the bush to see what was inside. And it was a timber rattler. And it tried to strike me. And I was like, whoa. Next time you hear a bug in the dark, don't try to get too close. Here we are on top of the chute. That reminds me of another close snake encounter. When you're up here in the more higher elevations, you'll see timber rattlers. But when you're down at the lower elevations following the river trail, that's where you'll see the copperheads. And back when I was married, I brought my wife out here, show her the beautiful sights of my home away from home. And we were hanging out at this swimming hole, and I saw a copperhead curled up. And I said, hey, come here, I want to show you something. So instead of coming along the path towards me, she starts going this other way, basically directly en route to the copperhead. And she was looking at me the whole time she was walking. I was like, wait, stop. And she wouldn't stop. And I just screamed, stop! And 1 foot away from her, if she had just taken one more step, she would have stepped on that freaking snake. Who knows what would have happened then. Yeah, that's my story about that. I'm taking a little bit of a break now to just sit down, have a drink, and have a little snack. Homemade beef jerky. That's the good stuff. A really fatty cut of steak that I used to make this. Normally you won't see beef jerky with fat. It's because the fat spoils if you want to store it. But I just made this for next day use. And that fat is awesome for hiking. Keeps you going, gives you a lot of energy. That's the best. Homemade jerky. It's a little salty. Like a little extra salty. But that also helps with the energy. Gives you lots of electrolytes. I also packed 4 pairs of socks because I know how wet it gets out here. Ask any long distance hiker. The greatest luxury in the world is a pair of dry socks. I wanted to tell you about my second instance of Sasquatch-related phenomenon. And that happened out here at St. Mary's, probably about 6 or so years ago. Me and 3 of my buddies came out here to hike. It was a beautiful, nice, calm summer day, and we were the only ones out here. We took 2 cars. I drove one by myself, and then the other 3 were in a different car. And we met up on the trailhead. We hiked in. Had a wonderful day. Beautiful, sunny, calm. And then we hiked out. And I was the first to get in my car and leave. And as I was on the road going out, still in the forest, there was this tree laying across the road. And the tree was still like a young green tree, probably about, I would say probably about 8 inches in diameter. Looked like a young, healthy tree, you know, green bloomed. And it was just broken at the base and laying across the road. And I thought, why the heck would that tree be laying across the road? Somebody's got to be trying to stop us from getting out. And so my first thought, or first inclination, is it's highwaymen who are trying to rob us, which is silly out here. Like, who would do that in a place like this? But I basically found the thinnest part of the tree a little bit off the road and drove over that and just got the heck out of there because I didn't want to have to deal with being robbed. And then my friends told me that they found the tree and they moved it out of the way with 3 of them using their teamwork and were able to drive off. But thinking back on it, I was like, how would a tree like that snap at the base? There was no wind, there was no storm. It was just a nice, calm, sunny day like it is right now. And I'm sure there are ways that could have happened naturally. Maybe it had some sort of rot and was rotting at the base and sort of just fell over, but it didn't look like it. And it definitely wasn't cut. You can tell when a tree is cut. It was just snapped at the base. And that is another thing that later I've come to learn. When you're in a Sasquatch territory, sometimes they will block your exit by putting a tree down along the road. So that, was it Sasquatch? Probably not, but Can't tell you. And what do we have here? This is a very gross looking type of fungus, and I believe this is either witch's butter or amber jelly rolls. Both of them are kind of a jelly fungus. They grow off deadfall, and they are edible. They're not particularly tasty, but they go great with soup. And they have, like most mushrooms, they have medicinal properties as sort of an astringent blood thinner. Perhaps you could use it as a painkiller. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, interesting. I love coming out here for mushroom hunting. I've been doing that a lot. It's just one of my hobbies, and this is one of my favorite places to be, so why not pair them together? I found lots and lots of oyster mushrooms just about in any season. But once the summer comes around, this place starts popping off with mushrooms. And you'll find a lot of, if you know where to look, you'll find a lot of cinnabar chanterelles. I've even found a little bit of black trumpets. And like I said, witch's butter, amber jelly rolls, and oyster mushrooms. So yeah, good eats. Let's see if I can find anything else good today, huh? Most people wouldn't even realize that there's a path here. And this is the path. This is the St. Mary's Trail once you get far enough. It's not very well maintained, not very well tread. So it's difficult to tell that you're actually walking a trail sometimes, as you're just sort of pushing aside all the foliage, all the laurel and whatnot. It is very thick down here, super dense. Very calm and peaceful though. That's why I come out here, to get away. This is my time to be alone with nature, alone with God, and perhaps the hairy people of the forest. Now, what the heck kind of poop is this? It looks to me like horse, but what would a horse be doing out here? This is not exactly horseback riding territory. It's very odd to me. Looks like big old pieces of charcoal. Very weird. You can see there's lots of grass in it. What the heck would make poop like that? It's not what you would see described as Bigfoot poop, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is odd and out of place, in my opinion. This may be the only bridge you see out in St. Mary's Wilderness. And this is punky wood right here. Try to go across without falling or breaking the wood. Feels like it might give. Here we are. The road goes ever on and on. The thing that I love about St. Mary's, no matter where you go, there's always water flowing. And not only is it peaceful and beautiful, it's so clean. Just fill her up, throw her back. It's fresh mountain water, full of minerals, really good for you. A lot of people are afraid to drink water when they're out in the wilderness. I'm going to say when you're up in the mountain like this, 99.99% of the time it's going to be just fine. It's all filtered out through the rocks and through the moss, through the dirt and the roots, and it's really clean water. I've never had a problem. And I come out here to this spot in particular a good 4 or 5 times a year, maybe more sometimes. And I just bring a small bottle because I know I'm always going to be able to fill up again. Here's another poop. Looks different from the last. Really have no idea what that is, but it's got a lot of hair in it. It almost looks like that fibrous hay that was in the last set of poop, but this one is definitely different. It's furry. It's got fur, which is weird. It's not very big. It's little poops. Huh. And I have made it finally to the signpost. As you can see, the Mine Bank Trail goes that way to the Blue Ridge Parkway. I'm going to be going down this way to Green Pond. This is St. Mary's Trail. I don't see any sort of indication of the mileage to Green Pond, but I'm pretty sure I'm just a couple of miles off. This is the last leg of the journey, and it is a lot of up, very little tree coverage. So it's hot, it's dry, and it hurts your legs. I'm gonna be doing this for probably an hour, just going up like this. When you hike a lot, you start to associate the word up with pain and suffering, torment, and the word down becomes synonymous with relief. Oh, but yeah, man, it's brutal. As you can see, this is mostly pine now, and pine doesn't give a lot of shade. So I'm hot. My legs are starting to feel it. My feet are soaked and heavier than they should be. And this is the journey that I like to take for my birthday every year. Isn't that something? Oh boy. So I'm stopping for a moment on my upward climb because I found a little bit of shade. It's going to catch my breath. And it's a good time. Just use your ears and tune into your environment. See what your ears tell you about it. Right now I'm hearing a very annoying gnat in my left ear. I can hear a jet plane up above. I'm hearing about 4 different types of birds in the trees. I can faintly hear water rushing down that way. There's a little something scampering about in the leaves behind me. That's relevant to my next story, because in this exact spot that I'm at right now, I wonder if I can turn it around. Well, I'll turn it around this way. This exact spot that I am right now. So when we came up here 2 years ago, and I was hiking with 2 of my friends. I don't know if they'd want their names mentioned in this story, so I'll call them K and B. And Kay and I had both hiked up this way once prior, and I told him for my birthday I wanted to try to do it again. Get up to Green Pond again, because I thought it was really cool. It was a fun hike. It was a really beautiful hike, and, you know, let's do it. And so I put the word out there, and my friend B came along. Now, Kay and I are both kind of hiker, backpacker, camper types of guys. We like to do this a lot. And B is sort of like a military ROTC kind of guy. And he was in much better shape than us at the time. So as we were making this climb, Kay and I called it right here. We just need to sit down. We were worn out. It was a hot, muggy day, just like it is right now. And B was like, well, I came all this way. I want to see what you guys are talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and hike along until I find this Green Pond place, and then I'll come back. So Kay and I had a good, 30 minutes that we just kind of sat here and chilled. And B came back, and he had his bear spray out. And we were like, hey, did you find it? Did you like it? He was like, yeah, man, I saw it. It was really cool. But when I got up to the top there, all of the sounds of the forest went completely silent. And out in the distance, I could hear this wood knock, like somebody hitting a baseball bat against a tree. And he told me that because he knows my interests. And this isn't the kind of guy to just sort of play around like that. He's not like he is a joker, but he's not that kind of a joker where he's gonna, he's gonna lie to you to just get a rise out of you. But yeah, he loves to laugh. But yeah, when he says something like that, I know it's legitimate. And I was like, dude, that's crazy. I wish I'd come with you. And then, we hiked back out. And on our way back down, I noticed that somebody somewhere along the path had stuck some sticks in the mud, and I didn't notice that on our way up, and no one else seemed to pay any mind to it, but I just stood there and looked at it for a while, like, how did these sticks get here like this? And we had seen some other people on the trail that day, so it might be possible they were marking the trail, but that also stood out to me because the wood knocks and the sticks in the ground, those are another two signs. So yeah, I don't know, man. Do I think they're out here? Maybe. I think probability says they are. It's almost 10,000 acres of mostly untouched land, and there are stories of them being up here along the Blue Ridge. I remember, I think it was on probably on Sasquatch Chronicles. I heard an episode where someone was parked along the Blue Ridge Parkway, which runs right along here, and they got out and started hiking and ran into one, shot at it, and ran the heck out of there, alerted the authorities, and they found nothing the next day. It just makes you think. So anyway, Kay and I tried to come back here again last year, but instead of taking the St. Mary's Trail like I'm doing today, we went along the Jeep Trail, and that makes it about a 3-mile hike. It was much easier. The only problem was that it was raining and cold, so we ended up managing somehow miraculously to get a fire started in the rain, and it was more comfortable to sit by the fire than under shelter just because of how cold it was. We just let the fire like dry us off, and you could see steam rising off our bodies. And I was like, dude, they're out here. I'm going to stay up as late as I possibly can tonight and just see if anything happens. But nothing did. So yeah, I'm almost there where the wood knock happened, and we'll see if it happens again today. Same time of year. So I just finished that big climb, and finally I've come to another sign on the trail. It just says St. Mary's Wilderness, George Washington National Forest, which means I think I might be near the edge. Could be getting very close to Green Pond now. So that's on the far side of the wilderness as far as I remember. Maybe it's not. I'm not too terribly certain of the map. I don't have it ingrained in my head, but that was a very difficult climb. Thankfully, the rest of the way is down. We've got a snake. Just sunning himself right there. I nearly stepped on him until I noticed him. Hey there, snake. How you doing? Just chilling. Go ahead and skirt around you if that's all right. All right, see you later. Another sign. Well, that's helpful. Huh. And here we are. I've made it to the Green Pond Trailhead. You can see I started down here near Cole Road, so I'm guessing right about here. Not looking where I'm pointing my camera. And then I hiked all the way up here, and this is where the trail splits. This way goes to the waterfall, but I went up this way, up the mountain. All the way to right here. That's about 7 miles. However, I don't see Green Pond where I am now. You can see that the Jeep Trail comes off the Blue Ridge Parkway down here and goes all the way around. So last year we kind of just parked it somewhere along here, I think, and we hiked in about 3 miles. Anyway. Uh-oh. Green Pond looks like it is flooded. Sinking into the mud. That's it right over there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to even get to it. That is way higher than it was last year. I mean, way higher. And it was even raining last time I was out here. But that was all moss that I could basically walk on. You see there. Let's even get closer. This is where Kay and I camped last year. It is all flooded too. This is crazy. I strung up my hammock between this tree right here and that one right over there. Looks like somebody probably brought their bike through here or something, or just lifted a log out of the ground. Yeah, this is nuts. We had a fire between these two trees, and even in the rain, I would sit with my back up against this tree right here and just try to keep warm and dry, because that was even better than being underneath my shelter. It was so cold. Doesn't even look like there was a fire anymore if you look. There's just moss and leaves. Is there any evidence of there being a fire here? Nah, pretty much. It's just dirt. That's crazy that a fire could disappear in 1 year. Well, I did it. Now it's time to go back, and I'll have some more stories as we go down the trail. I'm going to stop somewhere a little drier, I think, and get myself refueled. And there it is, the green pond. It is much higher than it was last year. We were joking last year and just called it the green puddle, because only the center of it was really that wet. Yeah, this is like a little bit of marshy area right here. I'd imagine you would. So I already told you the story of when B, K, and I were up here, and B went ahead and he heard the wood knock and the forest go silent. I've had 2 occasions where I've actually witnessed wood knocks. I didn't hear it on that time, but in the recent past, I have heard it twice. One of those times, you guys may remember the first episode that I did of Odd Virginia when Tara came on and told her stories. Well, after hearing that, I got very interested, so I went down to that farm, and we ended up hiking up that mountain that's back there in their, behind their property. And I had already been told that someone had been hearing wood knocks out there. So as we were hiking, everyone was talking, having conversation, and then I start hearing sounding like dull thuds out in the distance, pretty far away, but it was loud, and it sounded like it could have been somebody knocking against a tree with another piece of wood. And so I told everybody, "Be quiet. I think I just heard something." They're like, "What'd you hear?" And I said, "I think I heard wood knocks." And we sat and we listened, and we didn't hear it again. So my friend decided to pick up a big stick and start knocking that against a tree to see if we could get a response back. And nothing came back. But I thought it was pretty cool that was my first time ever hearing wood knocks. It wasn't very loud not audibly because it was in the distance, but it was loud. It sounded almost like somebody might have been doing some sort of machine work up that way, but there was definitely no one up there. That is national forest. And there's just never anyone back there. And there was another time. This is the most recent story that I have. I deliver for a package delivery company, and I've been doing a lot of delivery out to Elkton, and no, not in Elkton. This is Newmarket. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. I was out in Newmarket, and there's a road out there called Moreland Gap Road. It's a place where you don't get cell service. There's no signal out there whatsoever. So I was driving along way back in that wooded area, down Moreland Gap, and as I was driving down, this guy on a motorcycle comes by me. And then pretty much directly after that happened, as I was driving by, I hear this loud crack, sounding like, Ken Griffey Jr. hitting it out of the park, man. It sounded like that loud, as if you were hearing it in a baseball stadium. And it sounded like it was about 30 yards to my left, just over a ridge. And I couldn't quite see what was on the other side of that ridge. I looked over and I didn't see anything, but there was a ridge there. So, something could have been hiding out just on the other side of that ridge, like a little mound that separates the road from the rest of the forest. And by little, I mean like 10 feet tall. So there was something there. There were no houses there. I didn't see any people there. It was just like right after this guy comes by on his motorcycle, big Harley. Right after that happened, just this loud crack. And that's what it is. yeah, those are all my stories of possible Bigfoot encounters or experiences or whatever, things that could line up with the Sasquatch experience. So yeah, that's about the end of that. So this is just a reminder that as of right now, Odd Virginia is not going anywhere. Even though I haven't been uploading, I'm still getting organic growth just from the episodes that are already up. Our subscriber numbers are up on YouTube, and our plays keep going up on all the podcast platforms. So one of the big things I need is just more people to email in their stories or come on the show. So if you or anyone you know has anything that they like to share, please send us an email at oddvirginia@protonmail.com. I'm sorry I didn't have much more to share as far as my Sasquatch experiences, but that's because I really haven't had any as far as I know. I've had things that might possibly be related, but I can't tell you one way or the other. We're just going to have to leave that up to speculation. I think at least some of those might have been, certainly, especially the one with the rocks falling out of the sky. You know, when a rock is out of its environment and it's falling out of the sky towards you, that seems to be a thing that's very commonly associated with Sasquatch. You know, how the heck did anything even find this rock to throw it at me? It shouldn't be around here. That sort of thing. So, I just want to remind you guys that, well, when I was hiking a lot, I'd meet a lot of people along the way, along the Appalachian Trail. You know, during the summertime, there are a lot of people out there hiking the Appalachian Trail. And they would all say, oh, you know, when I get back to the real world, I'm going to do this. Or when I get back to the real world, I'm going to do that. And I'd just laugh at them. I'd be like, look around you, guy. You're in the real world right now. Everything that you see is absolute. Not only is it real, but it's realer than what you're used to. Nothing here is manufactured. Nothing is, you know, unnatural. This is just the world as it is. What you see is the world as it is. So likewise, I want to encourage you guys to get out here into the real world as much as you can. Take in the beauty. And just realize that all the pressures of the man-made world, all of the commitments that you have, you can't let it get to your head. Because there's a world out there that doesn't care about that. Sometimes you just need to get out there into this real world, as I am right now, and just not even think about those things. Trust me, I've got a lot going on. I'm not out here to think about that. I'm out here to find respite, find relief, and reassess, you know, what the world actually means, what it is to be alive. So thank you for coming along on my hiking journey on my birthday. I hope that you guys are having a lot of fun. I almost got lost there for a minute, and that really creeped me out. Thought something might be playing tricks on me, but I figured out what I did wrong and got it straightened out. Now I'm heading in the right direction. That way! There's the sun. That's my goalpost right there. I need to keep on going in that direction, and so I am. Still got a long way to go. I'm tired, but hopefully nothing else happens and I can just end the video right here. Thanks, guys. See ya.